Better late than never. Better late than never. I know this episode comes a day later, but like I said, better late than never. Execute on your dreams. I'm quite grateful, Uguti. I still continue the way that I've been doing. I'm quite remarkable. I am quite amazing. And also, I am very valuable. Namaste. It's quite enormous and amazing. The jubilance as I sail this boat forward. What constitutes and dominates my mindset is how can I do best with the little that I do have. My efforts are not going to be predicated on what I have. My efforts are always going to be predicated on the best that I can do. Even if we are going through struggle, our attitude matters the most. How we see ourselves is how we see the world. Start to see worth in yourself, and you will see worth in the world. Start to treat yourself with high respect and honor, and so will you to the world. We must understand the journey is only defined by us and how we see the world. What one person may see as a stumbling block, another might see as an opportunity for growth. When I decided to wear my heart on my sleeve and tell my story, because there is no one who can tell my story better than me, start to understand nobody can tell your story but you. But as the Black nation, we continue letting others define who we are instead of dwelling in that power and taking it into our own hands. Once you lay that power to someone else, obviously that person is going to do as they please with that power. How often do we acknowledge the fact that this power that we are giving away is the same power that is responsible for creation in our lives, is responsible for innovation in our entire lives? So I dwell on the best things in life are for free. It costs you nothing to be kind. It costs you nothing to think positively of yourself. It costs nothing to improve yourself. You need no amount of money to see that you are a worthy human being. The only problem starts when we use that big word called comparison. That is when misery starts visiting us. When we start comparing our journey to someone else's, that is a call for misery to enter. That is a call for disillusion to exist. I don't know what writer said this, but they said comparison is the thief of joy. Observe your vocabulary, check your dictionary, and look at the glossary that you have instilled in your own vocabulary. We must understand that we create our reality with the word itself. So when we don't constantly learn and unlearn, we are always going to be caught in the same realm of reality, dressed in different clothing. Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing continuously and expecting a different result. So we can't approach the new with the thinking of the old. We must first find means to abandon the old and seek the new that will give us enough initiative so we can approach the new. Yeshua once said, you cannot pour new wine into old wineskin. Emphasis Yeshua, his true name. So how are you approaching this new that you want for yourself? Are you still instilling the attitude of the old, thinking it's going to give you a new reality? think Einstein again. Think insanity again. And I think we have to have a little bit of insanity for us to achieve our dreams. For us to continue to believe in ourselves even when others don't believe in us. For us to continue reinforcing what we do even when others don't see worth in what we are doing. We are in the improvement game here, and each and every day is precious. You do not get to acknowledge this when you are just feeling good. It's even through the bad days. You are going to be battered. You are going to be bored. But the one thing, you will reap what you sow. A muscle that doesn't get worked is a muscle that suffers and won't work for you. So suffer now and enjoy the pain later. Was that Muhammad Ali? Suffer now in the gym and live as a champion? Not in those words exactly, but something in that kind. We do have black heroes who we can aspire to. It's okay to aspire to them. But don't live under their shadow. They're human too. And sometimes we get it twisted when it comes to looking up to people. We want to duplicate them so much that we forgot that we are our own person as well. We are facing different things. And I think when a man starts to live in within the realm of his own reality, then he gets to experience a lot of power that he leaves on the table, that is available to him, because he understands that if he's not aware of this power, then he cannot be able to utilize it. So if someone constantly keeps on reinforcing negative traits about you, over time, eventually, when it's told enough, you are going to believe it. It's the same thing with the lie. When a lie is told constantly, then eventually you start to believe it. And it's much easier for you to think that that's your reality. Just think again, man. Just think again. The old must go, and the new must be sought out. We don't want distractions. We don't want any form of procrastination. No delay. The dream that we want is a dream that we must be willing to fight for now. So I just want to put in the work. Just know for his work. Yeah, he talks his talk, but does he walk the walk? So I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. And I won't apologize being me. That's the one thing I will never do. I've been in a position where I had to compromise who I was. And where did that get me? The bottom. The bottom of my hole. So I acknowledge that place. It's a shitty place. It doesn't encourage you to look at anything in this world as something worth to live for. And when you start looking at the world that way, you start engaging in unproductive shit. There starts becoming gaps in your life. And then what happens? Those gaps need to be filled. They need to be filled with something. So you start filling them with garbage. That's a choice as well. So this is a true reminder that it's all a mental game. It's all a mental game, G. And when you get that right into your head, and you understand that each and every day that comes, you must bring your 120%. And even furthermore, because those who get rewarded are those who work hard. Are those who understand that I can't be good in my first try. I don't have shit figured out. But as I go along, I'm going to figure shit out. While you're busy trying to figure out what I'm trying to figure out, I'm in the mix doing it. I am in the arena fighting. They might beat my ass, but I'm in there. Where are you? So that's how you become a critic, dog. By sitting down. So tend to your own garden, man. Don't be a critic. At least if you're a critic, be a paid critic. But a critic who doesn't get paid, shit, unconstructive. We are only going to entertain constructive complaints. Constructive advice. Yes, what? When you're trying to figure out what we're doing, try next door. Try elsewhere, Baba. Tina, we don't serve bullshit here. We are trying to elevate and motivate. And that doesn't happen when we are entertaining bullshit. When we are entertaining people who are just curious and don't give a fuck. Who want to destroy instead of building. So already the attitude you come with tells us whether you are a builder or a destroyer. B or D. Make your choice, Baba. Otherwise we're building this side. And anything else, try it elsewhere. Try it elsewhere. So it's important that our energy is reserved for things that are going to bring purpose to us. You entertaining battles and conversations that don't mean anything to you, that is not going to take you closer. Instead, it's going to take you further. And all that time you could have wasted could have been contributed towards something valuable. So we are built for success, but we must also incorporate skills. We must also seek out things that are going to sustain us. Because talent alone won't take you nowhere. You need to incorporate that talent with hard work. You need to be a good loser. And lastly, in your life, there are those who matter, and then there are those who don't matter. Please do me a favor. Start making time for those who matter. And start making less time for those who don't. Because when you do, you understand that a majority of your time is spent on valuable things. A day spent with the most meaningful person you love, then a night spent at the club are two totally different value sets. Which value set do you lie? Instead of you going out, why don't you sit home and have the tough conversations that you've been meaning to have with your family members, with your siblings, or anything else, instead of you going out and avoiding things and acting as if when you come back, things are going to change. They won't. And the most hurting thing that I have ever experienced are words unsaid. Because when that person is gone, they're gone. They can't come back. So I emphasize a lot about this. We work so much on dividing ourselves. We work so much on being angry at ourselves. And then when life does happen and the person is no longer there, the person who lives with the guilt. They might not get to tell anybody about that guilt, but they will live their entire life with that guilt. Because love needs to be reciprocated, man. We need to judge less and love more and see if there is going to be more beauty into this world. We need to accept each other more. Let's not expect each other to be like anybody, like everyone else. I think it's very wrong that we set such demeaning standards on ourselves as young as we are. And we wonder why we turn up being miserable adults who can't sustain any relationship, who can't be focused on anything, who just complains. We can't be the generation known for complaining. Fuck, we're still in our youth, man. For us to be complainers, as if we've seen the world. Nah, I refuse to be part of that clan. If you do, enjoy your time there. Because it's like that. Nobody's gonna work shit out for you but you. So I've decided to be my own savior, my own captain, my own boss, my own every goddamn thing. It's called leadership, bro. You don't need a title. You don't need a big office. You don't need a job. You don't need any of that. Because you are that. I think that is what we lost as African, the sense of we are that. Everything was derived from us. So there was this trickery throughout our history that was played on our people. Because they knew if we knew our true nature and our true power, history would be different now. You and I wouldn't be sitting in the same place. You wouldn't be listening to what I'm saying to you right now. We wouldn't have all these technological advances. But that doesn't take you away on where do these things all come from. They had to come from somewhere. But if they can place so much emphasis in hiding who created all these things, it says a lot about them. It says a lot about them. So black man, put yourself first. No one else is going to do that. See value in yourself. I have a dream of creating an economy, a sustainable township economy. The mud that they left us in, we can create an economy out of this. I'm saying the conditions that they have given us can be the same conditions that we can use to create a foundation for ourselves. But when we keep on playing into their hands, where the townships have so much alcohol, so much drugs, so much destruction, guns and all these things, and we don't understand that they are outside entities that play a huge part to make sure all our areas are like this, so that they can economically gain. Having people poor means there must be people getting rich off that. You can't have the rich without the poor. Think about that, black man. Really think about that. When you create work and you don't have to beg work from anybody else. When you create work not just for you but also for your people. When you educate and equip and upskill your people so that we can also be competitive in an economy that refuses to acknowledge us as producers but only as consumers. So up until you continue to feed into this lie that you are being told about who you are going to constantly compromise. You are going to think about what are they going to say about me more than your own people. It's a totally different struggle. And the country that we live in is a country that I refuse to see as the future. So I'd like to spearhead all young people to say there is a different reality that is way ahead of us, that in the now we must create. The government most doesn't care about young people. We know that our votes don't matter. What does matter? Our economic contribution. What are we as blacks contributing to the economy other than being laborers? That is why we can't sit at the table and negotiate a peace for ourselves. What are we bringing to the table? So, with the education that the Motivational Maniac podcast is going to pass on, it's very important for you to be mindful that we are here to educate. We are here to uplift. We are here to unlock minds. The same way that we have been unlocked. The same realities that we are starting to push back at and say, no man, we can create a totally different reality. We need to be an active members of that. The revolution won't be televised. When we start to take over, these things won't be televised. On my last note, there's the African Union. And then there's a Libyan leader, which was made by the West, called Muammar Gaddafi. Why was Muammar Gaddafi killed? Yes, I understand the dictator part, but why was he killed? We refuse to ask these things. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, look at all our leadership. So we must understand that this fear they're trying to instill in us, we can fight against. It doesn't matter how much they can kill us. We still spearhead our movement. We still, at the forefront of what we do, continue to uplift black power. You were born black, and you should be proud to be born black. You were not born to be poor. That's the other thing black people need to get into their minds. The system that exists is a system that placed us in this position. We were not born to struggle. We get that right. We learn our history. We acknowledge who we give our money to and also our labor to. And then we can start to look at, in the next few years, what change can come. But these things, they don't matter up until they are made. So if you don't build these companies, if you don't make these podcasts, if you don't paint these paintings, if you don't make this music and get into their face, how will they take us seriously? There's nothing we can't do. But because we're still believing what they tell us we are, we're going to constantly compromise. We are going to constantly obey. We are going to constantly leave ourselves out at the negotiation table. Yet we make the table. So if they don't accept you in the table, go make your own. Find like-minded people like yourself. Build something. Incorporate each other's skills. Uplift one another. Afrikaners do that. Chinese do that. Indians do that. Why can't blacks do it? So it is happening. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. So this is for me to instill a belief into every young person in this country, to say that the reality that they are born to is not a reality that they're gonna die in. Especially if they determine to create something that is gonna outlive them. We are creative. We are young. We have great stories. Like Dripware, Batu. All these companies are created by people in the hood who had a dream and they stuck to it. And it's become a reality now. So inspiration is there. It's the doing. So when we do, we attract all these inspirations to say, nah man, this dude, he reminds me of myself. In the same position, nothing but the resilience, the hard work, the determination didn't stop him. He continued. He sailed on. Irregardless of what he was faced with, he continued. So even when you don't have everything, work, brother. Work, brother. It's through your effort. If it means for you to get into your dream job, you have to sweep the floor the best you can, do it. Do it. Be the best at what you do. If they tell you wash dishes, be the best at what you do. It doesn't matter. Don't care about what others are saying about what you are doing. You know what it takes to get to the top. But if you don't understand that to get to the top, you need to be at the bottom. You don't have that uncle or aunt or anyone rich or with connections who's going to get you a place at the table. Because when our focus is on that, back to comparison, then we become envious. Then we don't look at what we have. Instead, we look at what we can't have. And that's one way to destroy your ambition. For you to have more focus on what the other had than what you have. So that you can continue lying to yourself to say that, how come can the other have more than me? You see, now you're not working from a place of abundance. You are working from a place of lack. And when you work from a place of lack, lack comes. When you work from a place of abundance, abundance comes. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining us for yet another amazing and impactful episode. All the love and appreciation goes out to everyone who continues being a supporter of our podcast. And until next time,